Hola, I am Senora Isabel and I teach Spanish in 8th grade. I am originally from Peru in South America, but I came to the U.S. when I was 18 to go to college.
Hi, my name is Mrs. Mullen.
I'm Mrs. Tran, and I was born in Vietnam, and we left for America in 1981, and in May of 1981, and we got to the United States, the Lone Star State, in the end of October.
Hello, I'm Leslie Flaviano. I teach 6th grade social studies here, and I'm going to talk about Norway. My father's family comes from a little town called Teigen, Norway.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Wade, and my family comes from Lithuania. My mother was a Lithuanian immigrant, and my father's parents were. Lithuania is a tiny country that many of you may not have heard of. It's one on the Baltic Sea. It's been under Russian occupancy for many years. It was part of USSR. Recently, it was one of the first countries under USSR rule to gain its freedom.
I'm Mr. McDonald, one of the assistant principals here at Murphy Middle School.
Hi, my name is Mr. Lozano. As some students call me Señor Lozano. I normally teach Spanish here at Murphy. This is my second year teaching Spanish.
My family is a first-generation American family, or I'm a first-generation American. My family did immigrate from Cuba.
What does culture mean to me? So, if I was to look at culture, culture is not just the color of your skin. It's not just the country that you came from. It's everything that makes you you. When you look at your culture, it's the way that you think about the world around you. It's the way that you see life. It's how you treat people. It can be the food you eat, the music you listen to, the things that are important to you. Like in my house, one of the big things that was part of the culture of our family was books. I know that's shocking, but everything was about books and reading. My parents would take us to the library once a week, and we were only allowed to get 10 books at a time, which was horrible for me because I needed more than 10. But I would often siphon some of my books off on my brothers and sisters because then that way I could have more than 10. But that was part of what made me who I was. I mean, I found a love for reading, which led into what I do now, which is teaching English. And so that desire to read came from the culture of my family. Yes, we had ethnicity too. We had, my dad is German and Guatemalan, which is an interesting mix. And my mom is Native American and English. So kind of a mixture. I'm kind of like those mutts that are in the rescue centers for animals. Those are the kinds you want anyway. They make the best pets. But I think that more than the countries that I came from, it's the idea of thought that I came from.
Culture being to me is just being able to see the way different people live in different places and embracing what we have, and also learning about how people celebrate life in other countries. Like, for example, for the Vietnamese culture, what we have coming up is the Lunar New Year. Some kids will know it as the Chinese New Year, or the Vietnamese people will call it Vietnamese New Year. And one of the big thing, according to the kids, is that they'll get their lucky red envelopes, which has cash in that. So that's something that the kids look forward to during that time. But really, that time is really for us to be thankful for what we had the previous year, and then kind of looking forward to the coming year. And that's also when we get together and we have our food, you know, and we'll have a Vietnamese feast. We'll have our seafood salad, and we'll have our egg rolls, and we'll have you know, whatever kind of food that is to your liking. And one of our popular one is the soup and crab and asparagus soup that our that my sister is famous for. So whenever we have a party, she's kind of stuck with cooking that dish now. So, and when she doesn't, then everybody kind of says, oh, how come, but so now by default, that's like, when we have potluck, that's your assigned dish. And so, and then when my nephews were younger, they would do the lion dance, perform that and kind of bless the house per se, kind of go around and collect the well wishes in the sense of the red envelopes, but at the same time, they're wishing the people happiness, health, and longevity and health.
Culture is not just where you're from or what language you speak, but it is all the things that you have been exposed to through the years as growing up and the different people and places that you've been. And I've been very lucky to interact with many people from different cultures and different backgrounds and to travel to different places.
I was born in California, and my culture growing up on the West Coast is a little bit different than my father's culture growing up in Buffalo, New York. Being an only child, I was raised by my father, and I was raised basically a Buffalonian, but I was a Californian. So my culture is kind of both coasts. I was raised as a New Yorker in California that moved to Texas. So that's kind of my culture and where I come from.
Well, culture means a lot of things to me. For me, growing up, I grew up in a military family, so I have the military culture. Some would say it's very rigid, but it is organized, and we grew up in lots of different places, so I got to experience lots of different cultures throughout the United States and abroad. We lived in Istanbul, Turkey.
What the word culture means to me? The word culture to me is, when I look at the word culture, one of the things, because my nationality is Mexican, I came to US when I was 14, and I've been here pretty much since I was 14. I had the opportunity to go to college here in US and study in US. But one of the things I stay really close to is my culture. And one of the things in my culture we like to do very often is get together. And we try to get together.
So culture to me is a way for us to hold on to what has historically made my family who they are, yet also bring in this new culture from a new land and integrate that into our homes. So my home may be very different than my friend's home, but that's what I love. I love getting to share our food, our traditions, all of my culture with those that I love, my family, with those that I love, my friends, and take on this new culture that I'm in and bring that into my home so that future generations of my family can appreciate where we've come from and what that means and all the beauty that exists in the culture from before and all the beauty that is existing going forward, creating this new culture in our new home.
What does culture mean to me? Culture to me is the heritage of being Black, being proud of where you come from.
When I think of culture and how I identify with it and how it has shaped my life and shaped me into the person that I am today, I don't identify so much with a country, but with the word the country.
I think I am more receptive to different people and backgrounds, and being an immigrant, coming to a new culture, it was a culture shock for me at the beginning and had to adapt. So I'm very adaptable, I guess.
Well, the culture does shape me quite a bit because my dad, in a sense, kind of sacrificed what we have and left Vietnam with 4 kids to come to America for a better opportunity. So education was always important for us, and the expectation is that you will go to college and make something out of it. And I think with us leaving Vietnam and coming here, we have that was the guiding, it just, we never questioned that, and as a result, we all are living our life and living our dream and doing what it is that we love. My oldest, is an engineer, is doing computer related. My youngest is in the Air Force, and my sisters and I, we are teachers. And so, and we're happy where we are, and we're much better off where we are than where we were potentially. And so I think that culture aspect that kind of drives, motivate us. And so my nieces and nephew kind of see that, and so they try hard and work hard in school, because education opened doors for opportunities, and so that's where we're at.
I think a lot of the choices that I make come from my culture. In my family, it was always a big deal also to serve others and to do the best that you can for other people. And it's interesting because I'm the oldest and I'm a teacher. My next sister is a nurse. My next sister is a counselor, and my brother is a missionary. So all of us went into service fields because from a young age, we did things for other people. We did food drives, or handed out socks and hats to the homeless, or took care of animals in animal shelters, or any.
It has made me be more accepting of diversity, embrace my students, and I see the world in a completely different way. I love to travel, and as I go and travel, I see the influences that that each culture has on the world. We behave differently, and we respect one another more when we're more diversified.
We have a lot of great family strength in the Italian culture, and we thrive together as a family, and that's how I was raised. There's positives and negatives, but some of the positives of our culture is we love and support each other, but some of the negatives is we're very loud as a family, and we love to get loud and talk loud as a family and a unity. So culture, learning that, sometimes I go to other cultures and they're not always like me, so I have to learn how to adapt to those cultures as well. But it's a fun experience all the way around.
My competitive nature, I could say, is from my soccer culture. I grew up very passionate about soccer, and so much so that I married a man from England. Mr. Rook, his culture is also a little different, similar in some ways to us, to the American culture, but definitely some things are a lot different. Soccer is super important. Soccer is like a family. The competitive nature of always learning to be the best and to I guess to win, but to be the best that you can be in that sport helps you to be the best you can be in everything that you do. So soccer culture, the military culture, the American culture, and then the English culture has shaped me to be the person that I am in lots of different ways, but it's also ever evolving. So,
What my culture means to me. As a child of immigrants, there's a lot of things that have kind of shaped me as a person. One of them being, as an immigrant coming into this country, there's a sense of paranoia, not trusting, not knowing how to speak the language. My mother came to this country and was always kind of skeptical that somebody might be taking advantage of her in some way. So that suspicion, or that not trusting, has carried on to myself, and that's something that I work on to change and accept, understanding that it comes from that. One other aspect that I see coming from my culture is the desire to, the hardworking desire. And again, it comes from both the immigration and the Depression, in that, again, to make meats meet, one had to work very hard, and there's a very strong work ethic. Sometimes I find it even hard to relax. My husband laughs at me and says, "Oh, you say you're going to relax, and you sit down for 20 minutes, and then you're back up doing something."
All right, culture has shaped me in many different ways. My culture, as far as where I'm from, my family is Irish and German. Actually, I have family that I was able to meet in Northern Ireland recently. Another culture that I have, or culture experience, was I grew up in South Texas in a real small town with less than 1,000 people in the whole town. And so a small town out in the country definitely has its own culture, and that helped shape me and influence me. It was very friendly, very welcoming, very open. You always helped other people out, whether it was working out baling hay or in school or wherever it was. And so that definitely was a culture that affected me.
In our culture, on Juneteenth, we celebrate being free. Texas was one of the last states of being free. And where my family is from, usually on Juneteenth, if it falls on a Saturday or the week before, we always celebrate by eating different, like baked chicken, barbecue chicken, just all different types of food, and we just remember like where we came from slavery until now. We do a lot of things together. We love music. We love music, and we love different types of sports. So we share in the area of music, listen to the blues, or even like the country music or R&B.
Growing up on a small family farm in West Central Indiana that's been in my family for over 150 years really has taught me a lot of things concerning work ethic, moral character, and independence.
Those are just some of the ways that my culture has shaped me.